Imagine this. You're told with complete certainty that your time on this earth is running out. You have exactly 6 months left to live. Not 6 years. Not decades. Just 180 days. Suddenly, everything you thought was important feels meaningless. The job you hate, the likes on your social media, the things you've been chasing, it all seems trivial. But then, something inside you shifts. Because this isn't just a story about death. It's about life. About what you do when the clock is ticking louder than ever. This is the story they don't want you to hear. The story about a man who refused to give in to despair. Who took those 6 months and turned them into a legacy that will outlive him by decades, maybe centuries. So, what would you do if the end was staring you in the face? Would you crumble, or would you rise? Stay with me, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about fear, purpose, and what it means to truly live. He was only 29 years old, the age when most people are chasing dreams without a care in the world. He was driven, ambitious, a man who pushed himself harder than anyone else. Early mornings, late nights. The kind of person who believed success was the only option. He was building a startup, a company that was already pulling in 6 figures, a future that looked bright and full of promise. Friends, family, fans on social media. His life was a picture of success to the outside world. But beneath the surface, something was wrong. It started with headaches, small, annoying migraines he brushed off. Stress, he told himself. It'll pass. Until one morning, everything changed. He collapsed on the floor of his apartment, alone and scared. Paramedics rushed him to the ER. The beeping machines, the sterile white walls, the cold clinical voices, all closing in. The doctors ran tests. MRI, CT scan. The results came back like a punch to the gut. Stage 4 glioblastoma. Inoperable. Terminal. Those words echoed in his mind. A death sentence. A clock set to 6 months. Maybe less. He sat there, feeling his whole life unravel. How could this happen to him? He ate right, exercised, worked hard. What did he do wrong? His car? Suddenly useless. His bank account? No shield against death. His followers and likes? Empty echoes in the void. Think about this for a moment. If you woke up today knowing you had only 6 months left, would you be proud of how you've been living? What would you change? Because for him, the answer was clear. He wasn't proud. But instead of breaking, something inside him snapped awake. He stopped asking, why me? And started demanding, what now? That night, alone in his hospital room, the fluorescent lights flickering overhead, the sterile scent of antiseptic filling the air, he made a choice. Death might be coming, but he wasn't finished. Not yet. He opened his laptop, fingers trembling. He didn't want to waste time scrolling mindlessly. Instead, he started writing. The document was titled, "The Day Death Knocked, I Finally Lived." It was rough, raw, honest. Pages filled with regrets. Years wasted chasing money and status, ignoring the things that truly mattered. Pages filled with confessions of loneliness despite being surrounded by people. Pages stained with tears and determination. He wrote for hours, through pain, through chemo, through nights filled with fear and nausea. Sometimes his hand shook too much to type, so he dictated into his phone, pouring out every thought he had left. He said to himself, if I can't control the cancer, I'll control my story, my legacy. And then he did something brave. He began sharing his journey online. TikTok videos, YouTube updates, live streams. Not polished speeches, but real moments. Moments of pain, moments of laughter, moments when the weight of the world felt unbearable. People saw him not as a victim, but as a warrior. Now ask yourself, if you had only one last message to share with the world, what would it be? Would you wait? Or would you shout it from the rooftops? His message resonated. Comments flooded in. You saved me from giving up. You reminded me to live for myself. You showed me there's hope even when all seems lost. Emails came from strangers diagnosed just like him, from people who found the courage to tell their loved ones they cared. He realized this wasn't just about him anymore. This was about all the people still searching for a reason to live. By the second month, he wasn't just sharing his story. He was building a movement. He launched the Legacy Project, a nonprofit designed to help young adults find purpose and meaning before it's too late. He partnered with therapists, coaches, and other leaders to create workshops, videos, and resources for mental health and purpose-driven living. At first, only a handful joined his live streams. But soon, thousands tuned in every week. People hungry for truth, inspiration, and guidance. His health was fading fast. His body weakened. The tumor pressed on his brain, affecting his speech and movement. But every time he got on camera, he refused to quit. One night, during a live stream, he collapsed. Instead of cutting the feed, he looked into the camera and whispered, "If I fall, let me fall forward." That moment went viral. Celebrities, influencers, and millions worldwide shared his story. Donations poured into his foundation. By the fourth month, his book was finished. 286 pages packed with raw honesty and urgent wisdom. You don't need more time, he wrote. You need more courage. He spoke virtually at high schools, sometimes hooked to an oxygen tube, telling students, don't waste your 20s trying to impress people who forget your name. Build something that outlives you. His family watched, tears streaming, not because he was dying, but because he had finally found peace. At month 5, he moved to hospice care. His voice was weak, but his spirit unbroken. He recorded his final podcast episode, titled, I'm Not Afraid Anymore. I didn't beat cancer, he said softly, but I beat fear, and that's enough. Weeks later, he passed away, but his legacy, it lives on louder than ever. His book soared to the bestseller lists. His foundation continues to fund thousands of therapy sessions annually. His podcast downloads reach millions. He didn't make it to 30, but in those 6 months, he lived more fully than most do in a lifetime. His mother said something powerful. He died fulfilled. How many people can say that? Now look at yourself. You're not dying. You're delaying. You're not out of time. You're out of priorities. You have your health, your energy, your dreams. But what are you doing with them? There's a clock ticking, silent, invisible, and it's counting down whether you hear it or not. The question isn't if you will die. It's if you will matter. So ask yourself, will you let today be the day you start building your legacy? No more waiting. No more excuses. Build. Share. Speak. Start. Because 6 months might not be promised, but your legacy still is. If this story shook something inside you, then there's one more story you absolutely need to hear. A man born with no arms, no legs, but with no limits.